For more, let's bring in ABC correspondent in Jerusalem, Jordana Miller. Jordana, tell us a bit more about what came out of Blinken's talks today and throughout these past few days of diplomacy.
Well, the U.S. Secretary of State urging Mahmud Abbas to institute and begin reforms of the Palestinian Authority. The United States wants to see the Palestinian Authority play a leading role in governing Gaza after the war. And to do that, there's many things that not only the United States, but other partners see as problems that need to be fixed. First of all, Mahmoud Abbas himself is ailing and old and deeply unpopular, and he has not chosen a successor. He also hasn't held elections in about 15 years. The United States is looking to Abbas to kind of get the Palestinian house in order, so to speak, months even before this war will end, so that it will be in some kind of shape to possibly take over the Gaza Strip. And that also includes security issues. For example, the Palestinian police, who have really failed in many ways to control militants in the disputed West Bank, that the security forces really also need retraining, recruitment, et cetera, et cetera. So these are really a lot of institutional issues and governance and leadership issues that the Palestinian Authority is being asked to address the Americans. Now, even if the Palestinian Authority does all that and is promised a pathway to a Palestinian state, there's still obviously obstacles on the Israeli side. First and foremost, that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu does not support the establishment of a Palestinian state, though we have to say that it's unclear if Netanyahu will be in power later when this war is over. And it may be that a more a unity government between some of the right-wing parties and the center-left-wing parties may in fact support the Palestinian leadership in the Gaza Strip. Right now, at least for the purposes of his base, Netanyahu says that is not an option.
Now, Jordana, of course, this comes as there has really been no let up in the fighting in Gaza since the war began October 7th. What's the latest on the situation on the ground?
Well, we're seeing the fighting remain very intense in southern Gaza. That is where Hamas's leaders are believed to be hiding, in the city primarily around Khan Yunis. And Israeli soldiers are engaged in fierce combat there. They're discovering tunnel shafts and weapon caches, as they did in the north. And fighting there, it appears, will remain very intense. But in northern Gaza, there seems to be a real reduction in the kind of intense combat we saw over the last few months. Israel's pulled out troops, pulled out tanks, and this is all in line with what the Israeli army spokesman said is this kind of shift to kind of a less intensive war. In the south, intense, but also more targeted, less airstrikes. And all of this, again, we have to remember that the influence of the United States on this war is tremendous. They are supporting it in military means, in diplomatic means, and that gives the United States certain kind of leverage at the table. And they've been urging Israel to move to this less intense war, which they believe will make Gaza a safer place for civilians, right? Where we've seen that death toll soar now above 23,000.
Jordana, thank you for that. Jordana Miller in Jerusalem.